I checked all the boxes. I made enough money. I didn't have to work. Why am I still unfulfilled? I had everything I thought I needed to be happy, and I wasn't. Chasing happiness instead of going within, it's an illusion. It's scarcity, it's fear, it's I want more, I want power, I want prestige, I want the American dream is an illusion because it's separated from the truth. It was depressing. Did I do the wrong thing?
We have this perception of these people who are CEOs, inventors, the ones that get in the magazines and on the front page, but those are the ones that have these deep-rooted insecurities.
Business can be very ego-driven. And that is what separates you from yourself. As you started looking inward, these external things aren't the answer. This aching inside, I got to go out there and see what that's all about. Waking up to this illusion of outwardly success. Then I started sending positive energy to people I don't like. Tears of joy. I realized that's the key. The more outwardly success you have, the more separated you feel and paranoid you feel. Your ego can help you in traditional business of being competitive. But what I've realized is the ego hurts you because it separates you. They're choosing fear when they're starting their business. They want to look good. They want to get a lot of money. They want power. You actually get further and further away from the truth. You have everything you need inside of you. You need nothing outside of you. Choosing fear instead of my intuition, it never works. That's the most beautiful thing when you realize that. Go within, follow your intuition or your heart while making any decision, especially business decisions.
Before we jump in, I want to take a moment to thank you for being here. This channel is small, but it's filled with high-quality people like you who care about growth, emotional intelligence, and becoming the kind of leader who's guided by intuition instead of noise and chaos. With everything happening in the world right now, emotional intelligence and being led by our intuition is more important than ever. If that resonates for you, just take 2 seconds and double check that you're subscribed. It really helps the health of a small channel like this. If you have entrepreneurs or professionals in your life who you care about, people navigating through growth, stress, leadership, burnout, or big decisions, please share this episode with them. A personal share will support our community more than any algorithm ever could. Let's be guided by our intuition and dive into today's episode. I want to hear about, your background, how you end up getting into Honest Speed Shop and what's on the horizon now. Like where do you want to end up going? I did a little stalking on you, and I think you started Honest in like 2008.
Yeah, I think 2008, around 2008, I always had a side business, but I followed my intuition and did it full time starting in 2008.
Okay. And then what did you do before Honest Speed Shop?
I went to college, studied business, and I was in sales basically. I did automotive sales, and then I worked for an industrial supply company before I chose to do my full-time business.
Were you wanting to do sales, or how did you end up in sales?
No, I don't think so. I graduated college and was just trying to find a job and had a friend who had a small automotive dealership. Automobiles have always been a passion of mine. So I was like, I like those. I'll give it a try. And I ended up being really good at it. But it wasn't something that I necessarily wanted to do. Just, it was something that I enjoyed and I was good at.
The way with sales, it's typically forced upon. It's such an important skill, but everyone's like, it's like the last resort. Like, well, I ended up in sales because I couldn't, marketing wouldn't take me. I couldn't, I dropped out of engineering or whatever.
Yeah.
Go into sales.
That's pretty much. I started as an art major. I went to auto buying college and realized that I wanted to make some money, be a success that way. So that's what got me into sales. Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. So as it progressed, I guess at what point were you like, I want to start my own shop?
I always had my own side business and grew up around family members that had their own business. I grew up in a neighborhood that was pretty unique where there was a lot of business owners. So I always saw that and respected that and wanted that kind of control and freedom over my life and career. From day one, when I was a little kid, I remember sketching on a piece of paper. I wanted to have my own theme park. Right? Like in my backyard, I wanted to have rides, and my parents were like, well, you need to make money. So then I would have a lemonade stand, or I had a mail order baseball card business. I had my own yard lawns,
A mail order baseball card business?
Yeah, it was kind of like these blind boxes of toys and stuff. I would send at the back of like the Beckett, that was the value guide for baseball cards. You could put a little ad, and I had a little
Oh,
ad that said, "Hey, you get random cards from this era, but you're guaranteed stars." And it was just kind of a random, like 100 cards and it actually did pretty well. Like my mom helped me out with that, and we'd ship 100 random cards out through this little ad in the back of Beckett Baseball Card Value magazine.
how old were you when you were doing that?
Probably early teenager, maybe.
Okay, gotcha. My mom, she would do couponing and get stuff really cheap,
Yeah.
and then or free, and then sell it on the garage sale.
Nice.
And I would sell hot dogs and brats at her garage sales.
Nice.
And she's basically anything that I would need, she would get it real cheap with coupons, whether it's buns or brats, ketchup, mustard, or whatever, or plates.
Yeah.
And she would give me like $20 in change. And okay, so I'm like selling brats and doing it the whole day. And then at the end of the day, I'd be like, look, I got $28.
Yeah.
And I think I made $28, but she gave me $20 in change.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, it's only $8?
Yep.
And
Profit.
I didn't understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then you got to get into profit. And she's like, we just won't worry about that right now.
Right.
So I was like so heartbroken from going to 28 to 8.
That is a hard lesson that I think even like people that have big businesses don't quite like. What was your revenue? Well, it could be $1 billion, but if you spent $1 billion, you didn't make any money, right? Happens. So
right. If you spent $1.1 billion,
you
you're
lost,
like,
yeah. You're spending.
Yeah, you're like super screwed.
Yeah. So that is because people come to me a lot, like with business ideas, and like, everybody's like, what's your revenue? And it's like, profit's a big, in business, it's everything. That's what keeps you alive. So cash flow.
Yeah. So where are you at now with Honest? Is it on cruise? Are you wanting to step away from it? Are you wanting to be more hands-on?
Yeah, I stepped away about 5 years ago. I have another business, which is real estate rentals, that I used build up with the Honest Beach Shop. With the profits, I bought rental properties and I lived in them. And so about 5 years ago, we made the change where I was wanting to step away from Honest Beach Shop, which I did. I'm more of a landlord there now, and I have a dealer's license. So we still buy, sell, and trade cars, but I lease most of the space out to another great automotive shop called J Auto. And then I switch to focus on our rentals, which we make a comfortable living on just with the rental income now.
Okay. And then with the places that you're renting, are you owning those? Or are you renting them for other people?
I own rental properties.
Okay. How many do you own?
I have 3 rental properties, 10 units.
Oh, 10 total.
And it's, 3.
Nice. So you got like multi-unit.
Yeah. Andrew area, and then the Treby Road property there in Hilliard.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I'm seeing you kind of transition into this more like you mentioned that you're doing some like shroom excursions and wanting to dive more deeper in the emotional side. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah. So when I, kind of semi-retired 5 years ago, I had a friend down the street that recommended a book called How to Change Your Mind by Michael Pollan. I don't know if you read that one, but it dives down the whole of plant medicine.
Change your mind.
Yeah. Specifically through psilocybin mushrooms. So I researched that and then joined a health group. It's called Nirvana, Mind, Body, and Soul. Got a mentor. His name's Justin Lovato. And I realized first I don't really want to just have a business for money. I learned that. Like, I just don't want to just make money. And so I was like, I want to help. If I'm going to do any kind of business or service, I want to help people. And so that's what got me down this path of service, is where I am now. I'm training to become a space maker, somebody that can sit and make space and help them, whatever they're going through like as a healer through the plant medicine and meditation and breath work.
Okay. Awesome. What has that done for you? Or I guess like what have you kind of uncovered or unburied internally? Because I think it's interesting seeing entrepreneurs go into like an emotional growth journey.
Yeah.
Because my theory is that the entrepreneurs need like extra time in the incubator to heal, because usually why we started the business was out of an insecurity.
Right. Absolutely.
And we need to kind of like, it's like deep rooted, and it also gets ingrained with our identity.
Yeah.
Where it's funny because we have this perception of these people who are very, the CEOs or the inventors, the ones who, the change makers are the ones that get on in the magazines and on the front page. But tips, a lot of times those are the ones that have these deep rooted insecurities.
And it's, business can be, and the economy and life in general is very ego driven. And that is kind of what separates you from yourself and everyone else. So it can help you. I feel like your ego can help you in the traditional business sense of having a lot of confidence and being competitive and stuff like that. But what I've realized is the ego actually hurts you because it separates you. Like you said, they're choosing fear when they're starting their business. They just want to look good. They want to get a lot of money. They want power. And that actually separates you. So you actually get further and further and away from the truth, which I found through my inner journey. And I've watched you do it too. It's a beautiful thing that you realize we're all actually connected with this love and light which is our true being, our soul, and that to let your mind, your ego control your life, it's leading you into further and further away from the truth, which is love and light, which we all are. And you can still run a business or a service out of love when choosing love to help people. And that's what I think we need to get to as a society, because if we keep going this way of fear, choosing fear to get this money, to get this greed, to get whatever, power, that's kind of why we're in the turmoils that we're having, I believe, right now. So, but I do feel a shift. I think a lot of us are waking up to this fact and kind of been fed this illusion of outwardly success. And especially the younger generation, a lot of people are like, man, these young kids, are different. Well, I think they're learning. They're like, hey man, I see my parents, I see my grandparents, I see all this war, this unnecessary, like they're looking within. So I think I'm very optimistic about the future. Even with all this AI stuff and all this doom and gloom, dude, I think we all know, like we've forgotten, but we're all just love and light at the soul level. And we're awakening to that fact. And it's good. I think it's just going to be beautiful. It is beautiful. You can just choose fear and just keep living the illusion, or choose love and open yourself up to the beautiful moment that is always available to you. So
I see a big transition with millennials. I kind of feel like the biggest hit was between boomers and millennials, where there was constantly this your generation just doesn't get it. And because at the time I was in the Air Force, and I remember, man, this one guy, he would just talk so much shit about your generation. And one day I said to him, he was a lot more ranked higher than me. And I said, do you know what's the worst part about our generation? We were raised by your generation.
Yeah.
It's turned around and walked away.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we're because they'll say things like the millennials, they're the generation that everybody gets a trophy. Who gave us the trophy?
Yeah.
It was,
there
wasn't like there wasn't like a 5-year-old, an 8-year-old that's like, you know what? Everyone should get a trophy. Right. What really happened was that it was the boomers that was terrified of the pain that they felt themselves, of seeing their kid like, oh no, I'll feel pain if I see my kid go through something. So, okay, everyone gets a trophy. Yep. It's like, we never asked for everyone to get a trophy.
No. Yes. Yeah, 100%. I completely agree with you. I really respect the younger generations because I think they're really waking up to the fact that, we're evolving at the soul level, and I feel like they are making that a higher priority, even though with all the technology and things, the separation illusion can seem greater. But through my soul journey, I've been getting out, because I really like connecting. Before, when I ran my business and everything, I kind of wanted just to be by myself and was so drained. And now I want to get out and connect with people. And I see these younger people going out to concerts and everything. I stopped watching the news many, many years ago. It's it's not like we were in, Paris right before Christmas, and you hear all the doom and gloom about Paris, but it was we had the best time, and it was super safe. And there was all walks of life. You travel a ton too. I've really enjoyed watching your travels and your soul journey through all your travels. That's what I recommend to people. I'm you got to get out and see the world and meet people and I love traveling because it makes you like my goal. Like I don't have any business goals or anything. Is just to be present. Like I want to be as present as possible with everything and every person. And I think traveling, which you probably realize that I never understood why I loved traveling. It's one of the few probably easiest ways to be present when you see something and experience something and you smell something and you feel something and you taste something for the first time. It's kind of like being when you were like first born to 3 is when you're the most present because everything is new and beautiful.
Yeah.
And then you connect,
Yeah.
but you like, you don't know that until you're there. So I really respect what you've done, Tom, and wish I would have gotten the family to go to Hawaii with you when COVID first started. 'Cause that's when like I saw you were doing it and I was like, man, that's the way to do it. We had just had our son, my second child, that January. So that was kind of like the limiting factor. But I think it's so cool that you did that and it was fun to watch. So I appreciate you sharing all that stuff.
Yeah, that was I would say, I've been on this journey of just like focusing on following my intuition. And that thank you for like bringing that up and reminding me of it, because that was one of the biggest like intuition shifts I ever had, where it was just like, I need to go, I need to get out, I need to do this. And I had people calling me saying, this is irresponsible. You need to turn around. You need to go back to Ohio. Like this is a disease and we got to take this seriously.
I was so happy.
I was like,
So happy.
I know what you're saying, but I just got to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. That was the best thing that you could have done. Like that was a very, very good move. And it turned out, I mean, yeah, it could have gone really bad, but it was just funny. Like it was heartwarming and like you could see yourself like awakening to the truth, like, which was awesome.
Yeah, I was on a podcast and someone asked me about how does traveling enhance your business? And I didn't really know how to answer that and thought about it. And I really think like you as a business person, it doesn't really enhance the business person, but traveling enhances you as a person, and you as a person is what runs a business.
Yeah.
So, you're just going to understand people differently. And also traveling, there's so many times where I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. Like that could be in the States.
Oh yeah.
Really, my brain doesn't create anything new. I just have the ability to take 2, 3, 4 things and blend them together in a different way.
Yeah.
So like the grip mat, I didn't fabricate the idea of a tray. I know what a lunch tray is, and I've seen this grippy rubber. It's like, bam, these two things, combine them together. So me traveling, I'm in a way like taking in different experiences and how can I like mix those together in a different way.
Yeah.
And I also agree, like traveling is a huge form of being present. I just feel like it's done the right way. It's a huge personal investment.
Yeah. When you actually like immerse yourself in the culture, don't just go to the tourist, go down that alley, go meet people, talk to go where the locals go. That's what we've all, like, I've enjoyed watching you really embrace the culture and meeting the people and laughing. And that's what you need. I think it also helps with neuroplasticity, which is also what mindfulness and plant medicine does. When you see different things and you're actually there you're feeling the vibrations and all this stuff, it can change your brain chemistry to open your mind, not close it. It's when a lot of people are closed-minded and it's not their fault because they haven't, all they see is the news in their office and their house in their local community. So I think it really, really, really helps. Keep doing it. I love it.
You mentioned something about like the way society is going. And I think that there's like this big a difference with, especially with boomers, with the idea of they're more around like physical things and like wanting to own things.
Exterior.
Where I feel that younger generation is more focused on experiences.
Yes.
Where, that younger people are focused on something like, this is how many countries I've been to versus this is how many resorts I own. Or what I find so interesting when I'm traveling is talking most specifically to Russians.
Okay.
I love to see their perspective, and I just like, why? Like, tell me with no judgment. Just tell me what's going on in your head. Why?
Give it
like,
to you. I love that.
Like seeing their perspective is like, so like wild sometimes where originally I want to think like, oh, they're just closed-minded, but like, so each country I visit, I get a tattoo.
Love that. Yeah.
And the last one I got was Morocco.
Oh, cool.
And the guy who gave me the tattoo from Morocco is Russian.
Oh, cool.
I think he was like 8 years old when the Soviet Union collapsed. So it wasn't like he really understood things.
Right.
But he was just telling me like, if you think about the idea of what fuels capitalism and the idea of what fuels communism, like communism roots from the word community, where it's actually focused on growing the middle class, where they want everyone to like grow together.
Yes.
It's more of like an avoidance of poverty, where capitalism is more of like an opportunity to be rich.
Yeah.
So, if we think about like, well, what's fueling the idea of capitalism is more like greed,
Fear.
I win, you don't. Yeah, to a point, fear. And it is just kind of interesting, like seeing the two and seeing like the way I feel is that the society is kind of growing, like already there with the point of capitalism. And it's like, okay, well, we have capitalism. There's clearly going to be negative side effects. If it was an alternate universe and we grew towards communism, there'd be different negative side effects. Sure. But it's like, I don't know which is better. A lot of capitalist people will say communism is not better. So, but it's interesting to see like these negative side effects. And that's also kind of why that's one of the main reasons why I wanted to start this podcast is I'm seeing like, I some of these negative side effects was fueling me for GritMat, wanting that external validation, constantly feeling like I was never enough.
Yeah.
If I was on a level 10, I had to get to the level 11. Once I'm at a level 11, I need to keep going.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wanted to hear more of your perspective on that.
Yeah, absolutely. That external validation, I think, is highly prized in our specifically United States society. And unfortunately, it's an illusion. It's scarcity, it's fear, it's I want more, I want power, I want prestige, the American dream of being the big rich person is an illusion because it's just separates. You can choose fear or you can choose love, which is the truth. And when you keep choosing fear, when you want more cars, you want more houses, you want more money, you want more prestige, you want more things, you're just getting further and further away from your true self. You're trying to make yourself happy. You're chasing happiness instead of going within, realizing the love, everything you need is already like you have everything you need inside of you. You need nothing outside of you. That's the most beautiful thing when you realize that, and that's a hard thing to do, but through breathwork, meditation, and just being present with yourself, you realize I have everything I need inside of myself. I don't need anything else. There's no reason to attach anything to anything outside of myself. We are spiritual beings here for the human experience. So these human experiences are fantastic. They're here to teach us things. They're here to mirror things. They're here for us to be of service to others. So yeah, like that's what I think both of us have learned from having this outward success. It was a fun ride, but once we got there, I think we've both gotten there to where we're like I reached my outwardly business professional goal, and I got there, and it was cool because the good thing about it is I found the most valuable thing in this illusion, which is time, but it allowed me to be like, okay, well, I'm not happy. Well, why am I not happy? I have everything. Like I don't have to work. I have a beautiful family. I have like whatever I need. Wasn't happy. And I realized because I was just attaching myself to these things, my identity and happiness and how I felt to the external, which is not me. None of those things are you. And then when you finally go within yourself and realize, I don't need any of those things, then that's when the awakening starts, but you still get pulled. You're still in this human experience, which we're here to do. We're here to experience, but it's the experiences that we're here for, not the things, not the titles, because none of that chasing that. And that's the biggest thing when people come to me, like, I want to start this business, or what's your biggest advice? And I'm like, go within, follow your intuition or your heart while making any decision, including especially business decisions.
Yeah, because I love what you're saying, because I'll get people who will ask me about some business idea, and I'll be like, well, why do you want to start this? And they'll be like, because I want more money and time, freedom of my time. Like, you'll have the least money you've ever had in your life, no time at all.
Yeah.
So
The business will
just stick
own
with your
you.
9 to 5.
The business owns you.
Yeah.
You're like, well, what do they want? Like, what do I need to do for them? Things. When it's all about people and experiences, and it's so simple. Like, that's the biggest advice I can say is go within and follow your intuition, follow your heart. But you have to, it's not, like you can't just sit there, and you have to disconnect from all these external things that you feel that are part of you.
I think entrepreneurs need more time to heal and grow, because the thing is, the people who didn't go down the route of entrepreneurship in a toxic way, some people heard that and was like, oh yeah, maybe I should make this left turn because, I heard this podcast from Tom and Jeff, and we should do it. But then, there's a younger version of me that'd be like, nah, pedal to the metal, keep going.
Yeah. What are these old guys know, right? Like,
yeah.
But that's the other thing you learn is like, that we talk about the boomers, and I think they did their best, but there's some, there is something to learn from everyone that you meet, especially the people that have been around. That's why it's, get back to travel. When you go to Europe and some of these cultures that have been around so much longer than us in the United States, you just kind of realize like I love the United States. I love everyone here because we are all connected, and I don't judge anymore, but like, we are just young kids over here, just kind of working ourselves to death, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And I think, again, we're the younger generation is like, well, what do we want to do that for? Like, that's not fun. My parents, God bless them, we love them, but like, and it's not about being happy, but like, they don't want that same life.
Yeah. I think that there's definitely a transition in like the younger generation is understanding that we don't need anything. Like, everything that we have is internal. And I think that there's confusion around that statement where, some people will say, well, Tom and Jeff, you've never been poor, you've never been hungry, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And what I say is like, there's internal and external scarcities and abundances. So like an external scarcity would be, I don't have food.
Yeah.
So I need food
Yeah.
to like survive. And then, but the thing is, when I have enough food and my family has enough food and we have enough, a place to live and that we're safe, it's like, okay, what, now once that's sufficient, we can focus on like internal abundances.
Sure.
I can just simply be happy versus, okay, well, I have, an apartment, but really I need a house. I get the house, well, now I need a mansion. I got a mansion. Well, now I need, a yacht or whatever. So there's, I kind of view it as like this, like curve of, like the finances, like, yes, money will make you happy if your yearly salary is only $10,000 a year.
Yeah.
So that another 10,000 will drastically change your life.
Yeah.
So going from 10,000 to 20,000, your money just doubled.
Right.
But the thing is, if you're Elon Musk and you go from, let's say, $300 billion to $600 billion, his life isn't changing. His life, his family's not twice as safe.
Right.
They're probably actually less safe.
100%. That's also what you learn is like, the more you have, the more outwardly success you have, oftentimes, the more, again, separated you feel and paranoid you feel. And, people do, it does attract, can attract a lot of negativity. And, same thing with being famous, like we all wanted to be famous back in the day, but thank goodness I don't want to be famous because it's another barrier, like a separation from the truth, which is, you would beat a dead horse.
Yeah.
The love thing. But so, yeah.
Like your image of what people have of you, I mean, it's never identical to like you, the image of you.
Right.
So if you are famous, let's say you're Brad Pitt, Brad Pitt's job is to have an image of not him.
Right. Right. He can't be himself. There's no way he can be. Like, I think he right. You never know, and all the, we can get into the Hollywood stuff, but like, yeah, it's crazy. Like the things that you think you want. And again, like it's when you're young and you haven't had the experiences, but the crazy thing is you talk to a really young child and they know all that. Like everything is, they're present and they know like, the best thing in life is is being present and like loving every moment. So like you have it within you. Like it's something that you've just forgotten. Unfortunately, I think we're starting to value it more, but the world we live in that we're fed, if you choose to connect into a lot of the stuff, makes you forget even more, unfortunately. But like this little manifestation thing, if you choose to follow the negativity and the gloom and doom, that's going to be your reality, right? You're going to manifestate that reality. But if you choose go within and see what's truly your mission, your soul's mission, and you follow that, you're going to manifest that reality, which is light and love. Yeah.
How would you, like someone who, like you just said, follow your soul's mission, someone who's listening, what would you tell them about finding your soul's mission?
We go back to like, I kept hearing people say that. And I was like, just thought it was hocus pocus, but it is magic actually. But yeah, through breath work, through meditation, through being still, through grounding, getting in the sun, going back to choices, like choosing what you consume. Like if you're consuming, not great things, processed foods, alcohol, a lot of like things that are not good for you, you're gonna continually get farther and farther away from your true self because your body's recovering and it can't, allow you to be completely still because it's recovering. Or, the same thing with businesses, like choosing what businesses you buy from, like we're all making a collective conscious choice to be like this is the cool thing, that everything is as it should be, right? Like that's another thing you realize, like everything is as it should be. I am as I should be. But then everybody's like, well, why is all this negativity? What is this? And it was like, as a collective, we have chosen for this experience, and it's going to teach you through every moment, being present in the moment, and you choose what's aligned with yourself, love instead of fear. Every decision you make gets you closer to being still, to being with yourself, to remembering who you are inside. You're not your mind, you're not your body, you're not your car, you're not your name, you're not your,
Yeah.
you're not your past, you're not your future. You are this now. That's it. You are present in this moment is the only real thing. And you can make a choice in now to go within, to make healthy choices, and then to kind of re-meet who you are. You've forgotten. But yeah, through good choices on food and who you spend your time with, who you share energy with, who you share your vibrations with. You hear this, you become what you think, which is true, but you can think all these different things. It's really what thoughts you choose. Like you are the chooser. Like at the soul level, you are loving awareness. You are aware and you can choose. That's at the simplest metaphysical level of who we are. That's what we are. So
Do you know Eckhart Tolle?
yeah, I'm reading his The Power of Now right now. It's fantastic.
That's amazing. I think in The Power Now, he says, true freedom is when you realize you are not the thinker.
Yeah.
And it's just like that separation. Like you said, you can become your thoughts, but when you realize that the thoughts, you're not actually the one generating the thoughts.
Well, you're getting that's the other thing. You're like an antenna just getting all these signals and vibrations, and your everything is energy. So you're processing this energy and it comes in as thoughts and emotions. And it's beautiful. Like you have this energy, it's all around you, but it's what you do with that energy. And the problem that most people get in, they identify with this energy, it needs to go somewhere. It can get stuck in your body. And that's when real problems can happen emotionally, physically. It's this stuck energy that you're constantly receiving. And if you don't get in touch with yourself and find that energy and either forgive it or love it or whatever you do, and then just let it flow. We're all just flowing in this human experience. The more you can just flow with it and accept this moment for what it is, which is beautiful. I'm like, how amazing is that? you just choose to keep choosing the love and the positivity and spreading that. So like you asked what my goal is, like being present and then being a mirror for everyone else to see the light and love. Like I am a coherent mirror that resonates light and love so that others can see their own light and love and remember that every moment we can choose to be the light and love that is our true self. And you can choose. And your question was, how do you get there? It's breath work, meditation, movement, starting your day with this stuff. Don't look at your phone. I still do it. Don't look at your phone. Don't get on technology. Ground yourself. Go in nature. We are part of nature. The most beautiful thing that there is in this human experience, which is nature. You go out there, you breathe the beautiful air, you get sun, you ground yourself, you do breath work, meditation. I have gratitude beads where I just sit in the sun, and every bead I'm give things I'm thankful for. And you start your day with gratitude, and you realize, one of my favorite sayings is, I opened 2 gifts this morning. They were my eyes. And you realize, like, once you like how lucky we are to like, and how big of a random chance it is that we are actually like here. It's like, I don't know, like it's hard to describe, but yeah, you have to make a conscious effort to be in the moment and then to choose things that keep everything clear so that you can be present and receive, process the signals that align with your soul. So easier said than
What
but
what what I'm hearing you say,
yeah,
and maybe oversimplifying, is to find your soul mission
yeah,
is simply by being present,
yeah,
and then the presence will guide you from there.
100%. But yeah, to get present is something, I've meditated for and done yoga for, 20 years. So it's
Yeah,
not,
nice.
the plant medicine helps, but it is something like anything that's worthwhile in life you have to work for and is a challenge.
I have this theory that, there was a while I was thinking about, do thoughts create feelings or do feelings create thoughts? And I think this is actually like a two-way street. So an example is, I may hear something that happened. Let's say a tragedy happens like 9/11. I hear this, I think, oh my gosh, this is terrible. I feel bad. I have this negative feeling.
Yeah.
So now it started like started with thoughts, turned into a feeling. But then there's
It's
times
energy.
where you have feelings that will just turn into thoughts. So I think because it's a two-way street, when you meditate, you're basically shutting off one of the streets. So you're not intaking any information. You're actually just like letting the feelings come up. And then I use the thoughts when I'm meditating, like, oh, here's a thought. Actually, let's reroute that back to where the feeling is. Like, well, what was I feeling? And like allow that feeling to be there.
Yeah. It allows you to pause. One thing that I've learned that my mentor has told me, like, anytime you get triggered, right? You pause and you say, I'm triggered internally, externally, and then you identify, like, where did that come from? Was it inside? Was it a feeling or thought from the inside, or was it an external thing? And then where is it in my body? Because it's somewhere, it's this energy that's trapped in your body. And then you basically put your hand on it, say it's in your heart. I get a lot of stuff trapped in my heart, and you say, this is allowed. Because inhale, hold it, and you let it go. Say, I love you, I forgive you, or whatever. You're free to go. And it helps.
Yeah. It's like a form of giving attention to the feelings rather than just like avoidance.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
I wanted to create my business for external validation, which means there's like an absence of internal validation.
Yeah.
So the thing is, instead of just feeling an absence of internal validation, I was basically avoiding the feeling by seeking the external validation.
Right.
So just doing the exercise you just said, like, okay, I like what you're saying, like, put your hand on it. This is just acknowledging it. You don't have to have a solution for it. You're just like, we're just going to see it.
Yeah. Yeah. That is one of the biggest things, because it gets you out of it separates everything. Just like you were talking meditation, like what it does is you actually separate everything, and you're like, well, I'm not this feeling. I'm not this thought. And it takes you a while to like realize that, because then a lot of people when they first start meditating and they can't be alone. They're like, they don't want to be within their thoughts because they realize it's before they realize they don't have control over what thoughts they choose to listen to. And that is a challenge. But yeah, that's one of the great things of meditation and breath work. And just being around other people, like, you were so nice to invite me to your, like, back when you lived here, the mastermind group. That was cool. Just getting around other, they don't necessarily, I think it's good to be around people that aren't like-minded. You having some like you can relate to and have some battle stories with, but your group and other groups, getting around people with good energy that are working towards an awesome goal, like this group I'm in, that I'm going to Austin to reconnect with, is powerful. Because when you get around other people that can be present with you, and then it can be a good mirror for you, it really can amplify your growth, your soul's, evolution, which is the truth of this human experience. You got to do work within yourself and by yourself and be still. But it really helps it goes back to choosing who you're spending your time with, who you're sharing your energy with. You have that choice. A lot of people are like, well, I got to go to this job, or I got these friends that, man, I've been friends with them forever, but they're really kind of bringing me down, or they're doing bad things. And it's like, you're not helping them or yourself by continuing to choose that. Again, goes back to the fear. You're kind of scared that if you leave this job or if you leave this person, that something, it's the best thing that can happen. Because if you're not aligned with these things, you're only hurting yourself when you're hurting these other things that you're grasping at out of fear.
So Jeff, can you give us a story of when you did listen to your intuition?
Yeah, I'd say, man, I wrote down a couple, but yeah, I think the biggest one that,
You can give more than one. That's
okay. Well, yeah, I mean, starting my own business full time, I think that was always like in the back. I was like, this is what you should be doing. But out of fear, I was like, well, I'm going to keep this job because I'm afraid to take the leap full time to run my business. So that was the first like intuition that was constantly like, you need to do this, you need to do this. And it often takes like some kind of big event, and often a negative event, to make you make positive change. So that was the biggest thing, was like going ahead and my business full time that I had done on the side, which turned into the automotive business. And then going into intuition, where to get into real estate, we started with a 4-unit apartment building as the first house we ever bought, and actually lived in. And everybody was saying, well, that's too much, that's not enough. But my intuition kept telling me, man, I'm like, this is a 4-unit in Grandview, and like the perfect intersection. We can basically live there for free. So we did it, and thank goodness we did, because that's part of the reason, I was able to retire at 40. Another one was meeting my wife and choosing to pursue her out of love, because I had met like my soulmate, and not, someone that might have, like just built my ego up. You know what I'm saying? Like, intuition to me is the same thing as following your true soul in your heart. And then choosing early retirement at 40, I could have probably grown or attempted to grow both of my businesses, but I chose time, like, again, the illusion of time, but like I chose to, I started my businesses because I wanted to have time with my family and to travel and stuff like that. So I had an opportunity. I was like, well, we can kind of rein everything back and retire early. So that was a pretty easy one. But then the biggest one recently is going within, following actually my heart, and being like this light inside of ourselves. Like, what is that? Like, there is something in there. You can feel it, but you're like getting in touch with that light and really getting to know it was probably the biggest thing. That, again, there was always a pulling to do it, but I finally decided to choose to do that. And that has led me down this path of helping others find their light.
What sparked that? Like you said, it's always been in the back of your mind, but now you're like, we got to do this.
I think it's when I had the business success, and then I had everything externally that I thought I needed to be happy, to be content, and I wasn't. Like, it didn't make any sense.
Okay.
It's like, what is going on? Like, I checked all the boxes. I made enough money. I didn't have to work. Why am I still unfulfilled? And I was just,
Yeah.
it was depressing. I was like, this, okay. And then did I do the wrong thing? And then I just started looking inward, and I was like, I gotta go in there and see what that's all about. And it turns out that that's what it's all about. So I'm glad I did.
Yeah. I think that there's this point of like a key thing is being present. Because like what you're saying is, you finally saw that it wasn't fulfilling you, and then you made the change.
Yeah.
Where to me, when you're not present means you're not aware, means you don't know if you're fulfilled. If you're constantly aware of like, oh, this isn't making me fulfilled, we're going this way. This is, what my intuition's saying. Or maybe it's something where you're like, well, I thought being a doctor was going to, I was going to be happy once I became a doctor, and you've been studying for like 16 years. Where the thing is, on year 5, you could be like, you know what, this isn't the direction I wanted to go. So you can constantly start to make those adjustments where when we're not aware, when we're not present, they just get heavier. They get heavier. They get heavier until it completely breaks us down, where it doesn't have to be this life-changing event where people wait until they'll say like, what breaks a camel's back? It's just one straw, where there's actually been thousands of straws on the camel's back that we were unaware of. But if we were aware of, the subtle times, then we would make those adjustments smaller. Where, some people say, once I finally quit that job, once I walked out, when I broke up with, I left that ex-wife or whatever, where it's like, you didn't have to give your boss the double birds and walk out. It could have just been like, after the third, fourth time they were rude, you're like, I'm going to look for a different job.
Yep.
Maybe I shouldn't be dating this person.
Yeah.
Maybe I should check out a different career. Right. It doesn't have to be this like painful event.
It doesn't have to be. No.
It just be like, these subtle adjustments daily.
You'll find, like, we'll all get back to this source or love, but it's like you're in this human experience. So like every moment you resist this following your soul, people can call it karma, or people can call it, your soul's mission or whatever. And eventually if you can be asleep at the wheel for a little bit and, like wake up and steer around that tree that you almost hit, but then eventually you're going to hit that tree. So it's going to make you wake up eventually. You can choose to like be present and like make little adjustments to avoid the big disasters and the big calamities and all like that stuff. But it's going to guide you back to source, whether whether you go with love and light, or it's going to take a big negative event to wake you up. I mean, that also can happen. But yeah, you can also make choices to, instead of the boulder coming down and breaking the camel's back, which sometimes has to happen. Yeah, you can feel the straw and be like, I don't like that straw.
Yeah.
I can choose to make a change. I can choose to accept it. I can choose to make a change with it, or I can make a choice to love it.
Yeah.
So
that's for me typically a forgotten choice.
Yeah.
Get a
when you start loving, that's the thing. When you get into meditation and the plant medicine, stuff like that, you learn that you are a part of everything. So like even things that you don't like, or you don't think you like on the exterior, people, things, they are part of you. Like we're all connected. So then you start realizing, and those things probably need the most love. When I did my first ceremony, I was with people in the room that were going through, I was there for, like a reset and to get rid of stuck energy and to, try to find my true purpose. So I started sending positive and like energy to these people. And then I started sending positive energy to everyone I know, including yourself. And then I started sending positive energy to people that I don't like. And then I realized like, that's the key, is just sending this love and looking at everything without judgment. And, it goes back to that feeling, but like sending this, that was the biggest awakening where it's like, you can choose to love everything. You don't necessarily have to like, the personality or, the outcomes of some of these things, but like we're all, again, spiritual beings with a human experience. And it's just, that is a powerful thing to realize that you can love things that you don't necessarily like, if that makes any sense. Accept it for what it is.
I think the idea of, like you said, accept it for what it is. For me, that's kind of like the baby step to like, okay, we're actually going to love it.
Yeah.
I love it. And, but yeah, that can be a lot of healing in that
Yeah.
of, just sending love and intentions towards those things, those people that you really don't like.
Yeah.
It's actually a form of like letting go.
Yeah. Forgiveness.
I look at it as a thing or a person I don't like. I'm like giving them a thing, or it's letting me let go of that heaviness, of all that hate, the dislike. That's a lot of toxicity.
Yeah. It doesn't help that person or that thing or that situation. It can only help forgiving and accepting everything as it is. As hard as it is, that is a realization that I came upon, and it was the most freeing thing that I've ever felt.
I love that. So Jeff, tell me a story of when you did not listen to your intuition.
I'd say the biggest one was not going with you to Hawaii for sure before COVID, but I mean, I've had a lot of businesses that that failed. I had an app development business that I just started out of I started a while ago, but the only reason I started it, and it's no longer, was to make money. Instead of following my heart, my intuition, I've always been an entrepreneur. So I've thrown money at walls to see if it would stick, just to make money. And none of them ever would have worked out. None of them, because was not passionate about it. That's the biggest thing. Follow your passion, follow your heart. Yeah. Biggest one. And then jobs, just internship. I worked at with a money manager or a stockbroker in college, and knew that wasn't what I, showed up for a couple of years. And then jobs after college, just getting a job, which is tough because everybody go back to, people have, especially in our society, think they need money to survive. And to a point you do, but just going with the job to make money, just again, choosing fear and need, making a decision and following that decision instead of my intuition, instead of my heart, instead of my soul. It never works.
The idea of going to a job just for money is, that to me is someone who's doing that. They're not aware of the actual abundance they really have, especially if you're in like a first world country. In third world countries, it totally makes sense. But if you're in the United States, you have the opportunities to pick and choose good or at least decent jobs that you enjoy. We don't have to sacrifice emotionally for a job to get, external safety of rent paid, bills paid, food on the table. We don't need to constantly sacrifice. There was a point where I was living in the slums of Brazil, and I was helping teach these kids jiu-jitsu. And there is when I really was seeing, holy shit, these guys are on a different level of scarcity than I've ever seen. So there are job opportunities. It wasn't like, oh, do I go to college for marketing or do I go to college for accounting? My dad's an accountant. He wants me to be an accountant. But, these guys, it's like, do I get paid $1 an hour as a waiter or, help traffic drugs?
Right. Hey,
that's a lose-lose.
Yeah. I think it's like the poorest person in America is 100 times wealthier than the poorest person in the third world country. So it's like a huge discrepancy.
Yeah.
And that is a challenge. Obviously that is a huge challenge. I think there's some solutions to that, but the biggest thing is, that person that's choosing between being a server for $1 or trafficking drugs, still at the soul level can look inside themselves and choose, you have to not everyone, but most people have to grind at something that they don't really, their intuition is telling them it's probably not the best thing. And their heart's not behind, just to get life experience too. experience who they are and who they are not, and to get to evolve the soul, evolve themselves. So that, that is a challenge, and that is something that we all need to realize and have compassion for and have empathy for and have love towards, is that everyone is, it's a timeline thing as well. Like everyone's on a slightly different timeline, but everyone can still go within and choose the choices to where if they want to get out of their situation, if they don't like the situation, and we all have the ability to change if if we want to our situation.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's part of my goal, is to, and I think that's awesome that you're in these countries. And really, I joined the Peace Corps when I was right out of college, and I end up not going. And it's something that I want to revisit and get back to, because we don't know how lucky we are in this country to have what we have, and you don't see it until you go to these countries where they are struggling to live. And a lot of it is, due to people in power that are using fear. But a lot of I mean, a lot of your videos, a lot of these people are they're super happy. Like they are choosing love. Like they're kind of everything for what it is. And they're actually, their communities are closer, and, generations live together, and they still grow their own food, and they're still super active. And like financially is a struggle. Like obviously to get clean water, and the whole bathroom situation, I think, is the biggest thing. But like they are still at the core, maybe even happier than a lot of us are.
Yeah, I think that there's definitely a lot to learn from them.
Yeah.
I think that there's almost like a team effort that can happen. We can like learn more of the, internal abundances, but also from the richer countries, the first world countries, we have the ability to provide the external abundances. We can show them how to make clean water. Here's how we do education. How do we, get them resources to like online education? And so there's definitely like this trade. I see sometimes where, especially if there's like a struggle for a first world person, like, man, why don't we just be like poor, like these people in the third world countries? Like, there's some, they have some good things, but it's like they also struggle a lot.
Yeah.
And they're to the point where, because there's so much struggle, choosing happiness is the only thing that they have.
Right.
So it's kind of wild. It's like, oh, we have a choice. I'm going to, if we're people in the States and Europe and first world countries, it's like, well, oh, we have a choice. I'm going to choose misery.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we are connected too. That's what you realize, is we're connected to these people, whether we see them or not, that are struggling. So through the collective consciousness, it's affecting, it's like, especially as a country where, we have a lot of pride and, all this, but we're not like, it's not just the United States. It's not just actually the world. We're a part of this whole galactic universe, that everything is connected, even though it doesn't, like, you have this physical body and all this kind of stuff, but something bad that's happening in this desolate, poor country is affecting us, and we can consciously choose to help. I'd like to get into that. And it's tough when you don't see it firsthand, even though you see I don't watch the news, but like I try to follow like the positive people that are showing not just the bad things are happening, but like what we're doing, what we can do to help. Like how can we show them love? What do they need? I really think we can do something in this country where, if people are having a struggle in this country, can we educate them to go to these countries to help these people? I think might be a good solution. Obviously it'd be a challenge, and then, having all these people come to this country, I think that's the other thing, like the big immigration, not to get political, but like we're taking a lot of the people that do come to America are some of the highest performing, or like most competent people in these countries. So like often this immigration thing are hurting these poor countries, because we're unfortunately bringing the people that could probably do the most help and good in those countries. So it's getting more involved And we have the resources where everyone don't need to work for money. Everyone could be fed. Everyone could have a shelter. Everyone could have clean water. We just need to choose to realize we can, as collectively, we can choose to help. And I think more and more enough are. I think you are, Tom. And I love that. Like, it just feels right what you're doing and what I'm doing. So I love this. It's fantastic. It's good.
Thanks, Jeff. So, Jeff,
Yes.
if you could talk to yourself
Oh boy.
at a younger age,
Oh boy.
what advice would you give him about intuition, about stillness, and about presence?
I would, because that's what you do when you go within. You actually can meet yourself at like different ages and see yourself. And like, what would I say? That's a great question, Tom. I would say, first of all, I'd say I'd love you. You're good. Like you are exactly where you should be. Everything is as it should be. Yeah, because you're so like different back then. How would I relate to myself? That would be the hard part. I'd be like, first of all, I'd show up in a DeLorean, like a time machine. I'd really like freak myself out. And then I'd be like, I'm from the future. No, I'd be like,
Crazy hair.
follow. And I would say to myself, we do everything you need is within yourself. But I'd be like, just follow your intuition, follow your heart, because that is what you're here to do. And that I love you.
One thing I want to point out before we go is, I was saying before, my thing with like wanting to start a business was external validation. So this is kind of like the way I feel is, if that was an addiction, like I've been through the 12-step process, I've recovered, and I'm finally like, doing something like this. I mean, it's going to be on YouTube. It's almost kind of like going back to the bar where I don't need to drink, but I'm to the point where I'm okay. So for me, making this content, it was like, okay, well, why are we making this content? Like, I want to be very clear of why I'm making this content. And for me, like, the direction of making this content is focused on like my personal growth, and the byproduct, an add-on, is if other people can learn from it, then it's great. So the thing is, if other people can learn from it, that's like the sprinkles on the ice cream.
Yeah.
You don't go to the Jenny's ice cream or any ice cream place for the sprinkles. You go for the ice cream. And then if there's whipped cream or cherries or whatever, that's extra. Yeah. You don't tell your family or friends, yeah, we went out and got whipped cream last night.
Yeah.
No, you got ice cream, and then whipped cream was the bonus. Yeah. So the thing is, with throughout this episode, as you were talking, I'm like, okay, well, how can I frame this? What I needed to hear from what you said was sending love to what you don't like. I really needed to hear that. So even if none of this works, that is the biggest thing that I needed to hear. The past holidays, there was some family struggles, and it was really identifying and highlighting a lot of triggers that I had. And it's like, okay, I know exactly where I need to be sending love right now.
Yeah.
I just want to thank you for reminding me of that.
Yeah, that's a powerful thing. I mean, you realize, you're constantly healing, but there's a point where you're like, the healing journey is fun, but then you realize that like it's time to live, and that what you're doing in this podcast, Tom, where you do believe, I think part of it is you're healing yourself, but you are serving other people and you're spreading the light and love.
Thank you. I received that.
You got it. You're on the right path, buddy. I love it. It makes my heart happy. Keep doing it.
Wasn't that amazing? I get so energized by conversations like this. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and sharing with those who you care about. It's one of the easiest ways to support a small channel like this. It helps us reach more leaders like yourself who want to grow in emotional intelligence and intuition. Before you go, I'd love to invite you to my Saturday newsletter, a 5-minute weekly read to sharpen your intuition and strengthen your emotional intelligence. It's where I share all my deepest insights, both personal and as an entrepreneur. Click below on the top link in the description. Let's keep this momentum going and check out this next episode. It's one of my favorites, and it's the next step in your growth journey. Just one click away. I'll be there waiting for you.